You never win fairly, even when you win.
You know what? You know who won last night? Diversity, equity, and motherfucking inclusion. Do you know who won last night? People of color, women, queer people. Like, this is who America is.
Why are you suddenly saying we should have gotten out the vote? You don't get out the vote. You don't ever want people to vote. You cheat. That's what you do, and you call it a democracy.
What I want people to remember about this moment is that the Democratic establishment wanted to be successful in bringing Mamdani down. They spent $22 million to try and bring that brother down. $22 million.
I'm with Francesca Fiorentini. Folks, I'm in the SFO lounge. I'm like Mad Max, guarding this cubicle with my dear life, as everyone wants it. I missed my flight. All good. First world problems. Happy birthday to my daughter, Khadija. She's turning 6. I wanted to leave early to say hello to her, but inshallah I'll get there. But I have dragged Francesca out of exhaustion, just like last night. At least it wasn't Allison. Last night I dragged Allison out of bed, but she enjoyed it, Francesca. And she is like, fine if you need me. And this is 20 minutes before Francesca leaves. I just wanted to be petty in the most joyful way possible, because Twitter is melting down. And I don't know if you followed, Francesca, but the world's worst people, all the people you can imagine, all of them are literally, it's the type of hyperbolic meltdowns filled with conspiracy theories, racism, Islamophobia, depression, conspiracy theories. I mean, it is delicious. And all those tears are so much sugar that I might go into a coma, but I'll gladly go into a coma because I'm enjoying it. And furthermore, Chuck Schumer, I still don't think he has endorsed Mamdani. I think he's still waiting, Francesca. All the poll numbers have come.
They're still talking. Yeah. Good old shuck and jive Schumer for that APAC
I'm still
money.
waiting. I'm waiting to see. And Jeffries, when asked 2 days ago, is Mamdani the future? He said no. I would have said he's part of the future. He said no. And furthermore, I'm sure Francesca and everyone else will get through it, but it was a shellacking. This was a blue tsunami. Virginia, folks, where I was at, I was calling it. I was feeling it. Francesca, I said, watch for the trifecta. The trifecta happened, but I did not expect every county to go blue this election. And there's a lot more. So with all of that, I yield the floor to you. I really wanted to hear your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I have the best hangover I've never had. I didn't drink last night, weirdly, and I didn't need to because I was drunk off Zoran and all of this energy. And you're in San Francisco, and despite some of these tech oligarchs and broligarchs who are in San Francisco did vote 83% for Prop 50. So in case you think that the city is lost or gone, it is not. I did want to, take that first piece of this about the Virginia and the Jersey races, which, to be honest, I know less about. However, I do know that the Republicans in those races went very MAGA. They leaned heavily into Donald Trump. And this is one of the critiques that are coming out from the right is, we didn't win because our candidates weren't sufficiently MAGA. But honeys, your popularity rating is it's in hell. I mean, so are your policies and so is your ideology, but nobody likes you. And so this is what's so head scratching, Waj, about the right freaking out about why they lost, because you're like, buddy, you never win fairly, even when you win. Your strategy to get back into power is disenfranchise, voter purging, gutting Voting Rights Act, gutting, any semblance of protections around voting, gerrymandering yourself, which is why Prop 50 was even necessary in the first place, which is, again, a special Texas legislative session to give Republicans even more seats in that very purple state. Why are you suddenly saying we should have gotten out the vote? You don't get out the vote. You don't ever want people to vote. You you cheat. That's what you do. And you call it a democracy, but you cheat. And guess what? Should we talk about the Electoral College? So that's why I think the freak out is so funny to me, because they're like, we should have, could have. It's like, no, you cheat your way into any victories that you guys have.
And furthermore, if you've been looking at the meltdown, it's really fascinating what's happening in MAGA right now, because all the Islamophobes are just, it's, well, Laura Loomer, it's the Islamic Caliphate, Neckbeard, Matt Walsh, the usuals, Deborah Messing, a hot flaming mess, Michael Rappaport. So the usuals, Elon Musk, right? But what's also been happening is Mike Johnson, head in the anus. Oh, I'm sorry, head in the sand, saying it's the Democrats who are weak. We're fine. What are you talking about? That wasn't a blue wave. It was just in blue places. Nope, nope, nope. In Georgia, they flipped those 2 seats, which is huge. No one was expecting that, right? So Georgia as a bellwether, folks, for the 2026 elections, right? Mississippi lost its supermajority for the first time in years. And, when I said, folks, that Virginia counties leaned blue, they're still red, I know, but I'm saying in this election, they all drifted left and blue.
Every
That doesn't
single
mean
county
yeah,
went
that doesn't mean they're blue, but I'm
right.
saying for this election, every
Yeah.
single county drifted blue, right? The shellacking that Mickey Sherrill you talked about. Remember a couple of days ago, it's a close race. Just you wait. The black voters, they're not going to go for black voters. Help give her the victory. She won by friggin' 12 points. And speaking about black voters, and I don't know if you noticed this, we had to talk about the whites.
Do we?
It was POC who helped Spanberger deliver the shellacking. It was POC who helped Cheryl deliver the shellacking. It was POC who helped Mamdani deliver the shellacking. Majority of whites did not go for all 3 of them.
Woke is back up, baby. Woke is back. I'm loving the memes that are like, you better put the pronouns in your goddamn emails. Woke is back and it's here to stay. I mean, it's all tongue in cheek, but of course we've known this is the Democratic base is people of color, but also working class people of color, middle class people of color, the people that Zoran was speaking to. I am, what's great about talking to you is that last night I had to smoke like 3 hours of CNN commentary, and I didn't even really hear much of it, but it just made me so angry. I feel like the American people deserve so much better than the kinds of pundits that are on offer to give them this analysis. You have a young 34-year-old Democratic Socialist Muslim mayor now, and you're gonna go to fucking like what's her, Alyssa Farah, whatever the fuck, and Van Jones, and
That was a divisive speech. That was a divisive.
I think he really missed an opportunity to bring people. Shut up!
Oh,
Are you
shut
kidding?
Up, shut up, Van Jones.
Literally, shut up, Van Jones. You have nothing to offer. And these are the same people who 10 years ago were giving their opinions. It's like, no, we've changed. So it's just like, it is so. Oh man, I don't know. The best part though, watch, let me get your thoughts on this. Bill Ackman, who spent, I don't know, untold amount of his own money to try to defeat Zoran, who went full Islamophobe in order to do it, didn't work out, is now tweeting, I am ready to work with Zoran, like as if he's anyone. But he's like, congratulations to Zoran Mamdani. If there's anything I can do to help NYC, let me know. Like, what do you make of that little turnaround there of him being like?
He, a friend of mine said that he was in Riyadh, and he was there for business, and he looks next to him, and Bill Ackman was there. My friend is very wealthy, and he is like, huh. Isn't it interesting? This hardcore Islamophobe is perfectly fine in Saudi Arabia making money, and the Saudis are perfectly fine with him. So
Yes.
I just thought that was very interesting. And you're seeing them saying, oh, shit, we have to come around. We need, for these individuals, the establishment, the people who refuse to change, the people who refuse to confront reality, the people who refuse to meet the youth and talk to them and answer and give them solutions for their problems. We can't. I'm done talking to you. I'm done trying to win you over. It's the majority. We're moving forward. The caravan is moving forward, and you either get on or you get off. And if you're off, so be it. peace. But you better get on because we're moving forward. I'm in that type of mood, Francesca.
Yeah.
Enough.
Oh, yeah.
10 years. You can win over MAGA. If you're a triple trumper, I tried. You know, that's fine. You made this decision. Okay, we're moving forward. Bill Ackman, you bend the knee, mother effer.
Yeah.
Michael Rappaport, you freak out. Deborah Messing, go to Israel and cry for the next 6 months, right? The billionaires, Bloomberg, who spent millions, whine, wah, wah, wah. Matt Walsh, neckbeard, don't go to New York City. F you, New York doesn't need you, right? Laura Loomer, cry. Like, I'm done with you. I'm not going to placate you. I don't care about placating your anxieties. I'm not going to prove my civilizational worth to you. I'm not going to prove whether or not Zoran is moderate or we're moderate. I don't care. That's a you problem. You
Right.
whine
Oh,
about it.
and this is, but you're very clear. We're very clear about that. The problem is, again, the centrist pundits and columnists who dominate our media. It's the Barry Weisses, even, right? Who's to the right of that. We are stuck in this moment. And I think what's so great about today, and I hope this week, and I hope we remember, is that how good does it feel to have the world talking about policies that we believe in, right? Policies like universal childcare, policies like free and fast public transportation, democratic socialism, really talking about taxing the 1%, taxing the rich so we can pay for things that we all deserve. So our society isn't crumbling, so our cities are not in shambles, so our schools we feel proud to send our kids there. Like, this is what we're talking about. And so I am so sick of chasing their agenda. What is our fucking agenda?
That's it.
Democrats, by and large, don't have one. Zoran is the biggest gift, and leaders like Jeffries and Schumer cannot even receive the gift. So also a little bit fuck them too, right?
Oh, no,
Let's
not a little bit. I'm all in.
Yeah.
No. You know, when Jeffries did a tweet, we showed everyone that the blue tsunami. I'm like, we're gonna be leading the future. I'm like, you ain't leading shit.
You ain't giving shit.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be you. Jeffries, we saw you. We saw your true colors. Schumer, we saw your true colors. This is the bed you made. You sleep in that bed. You had every opportunity. And you chose to align with AIPAC and corporate donors and the oligarchy, the Democratic establishment folks threw everything against Mamdani. They
Yeah.
threw a Bill Clinton, a Clyburn, Larry Summers, Bloomberg, millions of dollars, AIPAC, everything, the most hateful, ugly, disgusting anti-Muslim ads that I mean, out in the open, Francesco. You and I are old enough. We remember George W. Bush, who was a terrible president. Even he, after 9/11 came out, and he did this. He said, Islam is not the enemy and Muslims are, a part of our fabric and blah, blah, blah. Now that Randy Fine, elected officials, Ted Cruz, Andrew Cuomo, the person that they backed, open, obscene Islamophobia tying Mamdani to 9/11, I ain't going to forget that. Muslims aren't going to forget that. Arabs aren't going to forget that, right? And so you had every opportunity.
Or what about Jews? What about the fact, we don't have I don't think we have like exit polls on the Jewish vote. Maybe we do, but
we do a
like,
third. 33% of Jews went for Mamdani. 40% of white people went for Mamdani. He won, as far as religion goes, he won overwhelmingly with the nuns and others. NONES and others.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly.
Yeah. Like, it's just interesting because you also had Donald Trump at the 11th hour tweeting, basically, you are a bad Jew if you vote for Zohran Mamdani. And it's not the first time he said this. He told Jews that they were bad if they didn't vote for him. Guy whose base is mostly Nazis. Guy who, has inspired, a new America First movement. Hello. So it's just, yes, it is very laid bare what is going on the right. And I'm just finally happy to call the shots on the left. The people who are in the fucking way are the centrist libs, are the corporate Democrats. And this is the sad reality I really hope radicalizes people. I think if you feel like, oh, I don't know, maybe Mamdani is a little bit too extreme, or, the left, this and that, I would ask you, I lost my train of thought because my brain is broken right now.
No, those who said that Mamdani is too left and both sides, there's MAGA and Mamdani, and he's too extreme, and what's going to happen? And Democratic Socialists, oh my God, society's divided. Why can't we get
Right.
back to
But
paper?
I guess what I'm trying to say is like, there is a vision there. There is a vision, and it's important to have a vision. And what vision have Democrats had? They haven't had a good idea that's, galvanizing since Barack Obama. And I think we all know how neoliberalism has played out. This was what I was going to say. At the end of the day, you have to understand this. Democratic centrists would rather prop up Andrew Cuomo, a Republican light, someone who has 13 sexual assault allegations and more, probably, someone who lied to the New Yorkers about COVID. They would rather prop up, and obviously a political dynasty, they would rather prop up Andrew fucking Cuomo than go with a Democratic socialist. Because at the end of the day, they're there to defend their donors. And it's interesting because we keep on talking about Zoran. I was at an LA watch party. It was great. Like, where's the Zorans here in LA? Where are the Zorans? And I totally agree. There's Zorans we need to support all over the country. But guess what? There's also a lot of Andrew Cuomo's and a lot of Eric Adamses across the country. And a lot of them may have won re-election. Look, over in Seattle, Bruce Harrell is neck and neck with Katie Wilson. The votes are still being counted, but Bruce Harrell is super status quo in the pocket of big real estate, in the pocket of billionaires. So what I'm telling you is that ultimately there is a very clear choice, and the blue, no matter who, never stands. It cannot stand. And at the end of the day, money would rather have Donald Trump's fascism than democratic social, than having to fucking pay 2% more of taxes.
They would rather burn the
Period.
country down than have a Mamdani. And the
Yes.
establishment will, you and I have talked about this. My fear is, first and foremost, for his health. But my fear is that now that he's won, the Democratic establishment will, it's the same establishment, will do everything in their power to destroy him and then say, see, look at your democratic socialism, see, AOC, and to crush them. And what is Mamdani saying? Mamdani said, hey, let's just make life affordable. Let's dream. Why not? Let's try for free buses. Let's try for affordable rent. If Argentina could get a $40 billion bailout, if Donald Trump could spend $350 million and create a bunker ballroom, if Kash Patel can take a $60 million private jet to meet his honeypot girlfriend, if Kristi Noem can take $172 million to pal around with Corey Lewandowski.
They're dreaming.
If ICE agents can terrorize literally children, if National Guard can be deployed to help ICE agents, if we can flirt
then
with...
we should be able to feed every single child in school across this country. We can have free school lunches. We can have free universal childcare, right? We can have a livable wage. We can make sure that no worker is ever put in the crosshairs of an agency like ICE. We can abolish ICE. We can actually create not just a pathway to citizenship, we can make people citizens. We can make people citizens now and make sure they do not have to live in the shadows. They don't have to live in fear. That's what we could do. We could fucking do that. We could get healthcare. Oh my God.
I just posted this right before, like 5 minutes before I called you, and I said, I just want to, I'm going to paraphrase what I wrote, and I said, hey guys, you can now say abolish ICE. The water is warm here. Trust, like, you can imagine it and you can mainstream it and people will come. Just like you can mainstream free buses, just like you can mainstream a living wage, just like you can mainstream marriage equality, just like you can...
Freeze the rent across the fucking country. And you know what? I'm not content with just abolishing ICE. Abolish DHS. Fuck Department of Homeland Security 9/11 bullshit, okay? Dismantle all of it. Bury it in Cheney's casket and put it 3,000 feet under the ground.
I think, you and me are of this generation where this is the Gaza generation. You and me are of the war and terror generation where we're college students. And Dick Cheney was a terrible human being. Terrible. And Dick Cheney died and Mamdani won on the same day. Mwah. And what I said was, my parents said, always say something good about someone after they died. Dick Cheney died. Good. And the fact that he died and Mamdani won, right? What it shows you is if you lead, right? So you and I was telling people this. You and I interviewed Mamdani uh, in the spring when
Yeah.
he was distant second,
That's
and
right.
uh, this was when we were uh, this was when we were co-hosting America Unhinged, and folks, he was a distant second. And we still said, you still have a shot, Mamdani. And the reason he's that this is what I stand for. And look at folks, look at the winning recipe. He said, I stand for this, even though I'm a distant second. He didn't flip-flop like Gavin Newsom. He didn't throw the woke under the bus, right? He stood for Palestinians, even though they smeared him relentlessly, right? He stood for his platform of affordability. He said, I'm going to knock on doors. I'm going to sell my message. I'm going to sell my message with joy. I'm going to imagine it and make it.
Yes.
Danielle, can I invite Danielle?
Yes.
Okay, and then I messaged Danielle on WhatsApp. She didn't get it. And then what happened is, look, he sold the message. He got it, and then people said, yeah, you know what? He did throw us under the bus. He was at a gay bar the night before the election. He was with immigrants. He was with Muslims in Arabic. Francesca, he did an ad. He said, okay, you're smearing me. I'm not going to throw Arabs on the bus. I'll release an ad in Arabic. I'll eat with my hands. I'll probably proclaim myself as an immigrant, right? I'll stand with the LGBTQ and all of us.
But wait, just stay on that point. Have you seen a Democratic politician humanize immigrants and the immigrant community? I'm getting emotional.
Mm.
In the way that Zoran has done anywhere. I mean, sometimes in local elections, you could see it. I've seen it in city council. But really humanize the immigrant community at a time when they are being hunted by fucking thugs. No, we have not seen that. And would it fucking kill Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Gavin fucking Newsom to go sit with, eat with, learn the language of the immigrants that the other side is demonizing? No, it would fucking not. And it's just like, what does that do when you meet them on the same level? You're not just doing some corny ass ad. You're laughing with them. You're humanizing them. You're speaking like it truly is incredible in this time. Like, would it kill us to actually, and it's genuine from him. It's very genuine.
And this is the thing which people, I've had a problem with some white liberals and white progressives in the past, and I think it's been a weakness. I think Bernie's gotten better on this, is they don't see Danielle, they don't see my two co-host wives
Queens.
in this polycule. Uh, what
We've never met though, so now it's awkward. No, we've met.
Oh,
but
really? You guys
we've
have
never been on
met?
the same show though.
Not at all. I know.
Oh, I hope this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. But what I was saying, Danielle, was, with white progressives, some white progressives, some white liberals, the blind spot is race. And with the three of us, and as we live as people of color, you can't avoid race. And the reason why it can't just be a class narrative, the reason why it has to be a race class narrative is because the two enduring sins of this country are not just classism and capitalism, but also white supremacy. And if you see two candidates in our lifetimes who were forced to confront white supremacy and lean in hard with their identity and say, this is who I am, I can't hide it. Obama, because he's a black man, and Zoran Mamdani, because they weaponized their identities against them. They said Mamdani is an immigrant. He's a Muslim. And what Mamdani, if he was a Gavin Newsom, would have done is, immigrants, Muslims, LGBTQ, right? That's what Gavin Newsom did, folks, right after Donald Trump was elected. I keep receipts. On his podcast, the first two people Gavin Newsom invited were Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, in which he threw LGBTQ folks under the bus. With people of color, they can't. Yes, Mamdani's brown skin. Yes, he's an immigrant. Yes, he's a Muslim. And what did he do? I'm proud of being an immigrant.
Yep.
I'm proud of my immigrant background. I'm proud of immigrants. In fact,
that was arguably, I think, one of the most incredible moments of his speech was saying, this is a city run by immigrants. Yeah, and now as an immigrant,
yes, exactly.
I'm going to butcher it, but it was really, that was one of the biggest cheers. I want to hand it to Danielle. I have thoughts on this too.
No, I'll give it to you, Danielle, second, but I was just
Please.
saying, New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. Man, I'll tell you, I don't get emotional about politicians. I'm a pragmatist. But him saying that, him not throwing the transgender community under the bus, the first two communities he came out yesterday in his speech and he lifted up, immigrants, LGBTQ community, right? And then he, like a baller, he quoted Eugene Debs. Oh, so good. Mm. And so, him leaning in, Danielle,
Mhm.
with Muslims, immigrants, eating with his hands. That is the way forward. I am brown. I am woke. I am an immigrant. And so are you. This is who America is. I won't sign the Lake and Riley Act. I won't throw undocumented immigrants on the bus. I won't throw transgender communities on the bus. I won't throw Muslims on the bus. I can't afford to. That's me. Those are my people. I lift everyone up. And that's a message, a pathway for Democrats who still say we got to go moderate, and moderate
Mhm.
is a code word for white. And Danielle, as the polls show, a majority guess all these people won because of the woke. A majority of white voters did not go for Mamdani, Spanberger, or Cheryl. Danielle,
You
welcome.
I'm so excited to see the both of you. It's just last night was so gorgeous of a moment because I wanted to be the reflection of assimilation is dead. I'm not going to apologize anymore for being brown, for being black, for being queer, for being a woman. I'm not going to pick and choose who I'm going to lift up and when it is politically expedient, who I'm going to drop. I am not going to try and make amends with people who are voting against my humanity and my existence. I'm not
Yep.
going to talk about my friends on the other side of the aisle. What he showed, what Zoran's win showed, what Mississippi showed, New Jersey, fucking like, I mean, Georgia, every single place was like, you know what? You know who won last night? Diversity, equity, and motherfucking inclusion. Do you know
Yep.
who won last night? People of color, women, queer people. Like, this is who America is. And what I want people to remember about this moment is that the Democratic establishment wanted to be successful in bringing Mamdani down. The Democratic establishment was doing no better work than what MAGA was doing. That when Chuck Schumer was asked who he voted for, he said, I voted and that should be enough. Hakeem
Wow.
Jeffries came out in the 11th fucking hour. And then when asked if Mamdani is the future of the Democratic Party, he said no. Do you know who's not the future of the Democratic Party? Fucking Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. I am done. We are done with the scraps. We're done with those that benefit from the status quo. That is who the establishment Democratic Party is, right?
Yep.
They have been happy in keeping us at bay and telling us, well, we can't really do much more than this. So shouldn't you be grateful? Shouldn't you be grateful, brown face and black face, right? Oh, trans people, you're the ones that are getting in the way. If it wasn't for the trans, we could go further. And what Mamdani showed was like, no, actually, we can go further together. Actually, there are more of us than there are them. They spent $22 million to try and bring that brother down. $22 million,
Wow.
right? They spent to try and shut him up, to try and connect him to 9/11 when he was 9 years old. Right? Meanwhile, Donald Trump is getting fucking planes from the Qataris, right? Like, you want to talk about Middle Eastern folks and be scary, but not when they're actually filling your pockets like MBS and Qatar, right? But all of a sudden, like, Muslims are good when they're filling your pockets, but
Yes, they yep. Yep.
not when they're filling seats. Right?
Yep.
And so I think that what people need to take from this is that the establishment is dead, right? I'm over them. We need to be over them. Do I think that, and I want folks to also realize that we cannot pin our hopes and dreams on one person, right?
Yeah.
Like the hopes and dreams of the future of the America that we want is not just Mamdani. It is all of us. right? The work doesn't end on election day, it begins on election day because we fought back against the oligarchs and won.
Yep.
Right? Like we won. Why? Because he didn't leave anybody behind. And why?
Yes.
Because New York City, we don't fall for the fucking rope-a-dope bullshit here, right? We're riding the trains with people of color and trans people. We're going to the bodegas with folks that don't look like us, don't pray like us. And guess what? We all live side by side and want the same goddamn things. And so we need to stop settling for the scraps. We need to
Yep.
stop wanting to go back to normal and recognize normal didn't work for all of us, right? That kind of normal only worked for the privileged few. And that as the food lines get longer, as the tariffs get higher, as people struggle more, is that community and collection is what is going to save us, right? And that, right, the establishment is just another face of MAGA. That's what
Yep.
they showed. If you have Bill Clinton, Elon Musk, Stephen
I
Miller,
can't
and
believe
Donald
Clinton
Trump,
came out. I can't.
Donald Trump all supporting the same candidate, that person ain't for you. Okay? That's all you need to know. They are not for you. So I appreciate the veil being lifted because now we see all these motherfuckers for who they are, who they've been in bed with, and what they've been happy with doing. And the rest of us can now say, thank you. We don't want this shit.
Yep. And I think just to add to that beautiful, beautiful rant is I think it's how he talked about his identity, because what you will often see with the establishment is that they supplement very shallow identity politics for the broken policies that support the status quo and the 1%.
There you
So
go.
instead of saying, I am, as he said, relentlessly focused on affordability. I am relentlessly focused on affordability. He never led, if you listen to him talk, he never led sentences with, as a Muslim man, or as an immigrant, or he didn't use his identity as a rationale to excuse shitty policies. It was very clear through his actions, working with taxi cab drivers, on actually, getting back money, went on hunger strike with them. It's clear through his actions that he supported immigrants. It's clear through his actions that he supported the Muslim community, the immigrant community. He didn't just tick the boxes. He didn't open and say, like, I'm Zoran Mamdani, he, him, anyway, I'm good. Like, it's like, no. He actually has the intersectionality that we're supposed to be afraid of, but we know we need. At the
Wokeness?
core, because the working class is people of color. The working class are women of color, period. So this is the message. And I think that Democrats so often will use shallow identity politics because they don't got nothing else to offer. And I think we see through that now. So it's also sort of the death of, woke in the shallowest sense, right? In the sense of, I'm going to kneel in a kente cloth and then do fuck all to, to reform the criminal justice system. He
That
also
part.
spoke about, he spoke about public safety. And so this is the thing. When he implements his programs, whether it's taxing the 1%, whether it's moving money out of the NYPD into public safety programs, he's going to need us. He's going to need, and he's got the messaging down. And so he will be loud about it. The other thing is that when it comes to implementation, don't do it all like, okay, we're doing this thing anyway, I hope nobody notices, because guess what? The moneyed interests will. But the people who could have your back, you got to be loud. Say it with your whole chest. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. That's how you got to govern like you campaign. And I think that that's what Democrats also don't know how to do. Biden didn't know how to message at all. I mean, he was really, not really there for a lot of his presidency. But so anyway, all to say, I feel like it is the skill with which he talks about, and I think he talks about affordability, but then seamlessly is able to center people of color, queer people, women, immigrants. Like, that is just so baked in to the message.
You should govern like you won. and you should govern like you won in a historic vote where 2 million people came out with record numbers that we haven't seen since 1969. And you should govern like you have power, and you should flex, and you should not be afraid of appeasing a right-wing slash centrist movement that wants you dead, that has shown you repeatedly for the past 10 years that when they get power, they don't give a shit about you, your family, your security, your communities.
Yep.
They throw great Gatsby parties while government employees are circling around the block to get food from a food bank in Virginia, where I'm at, because people can't afford rent because they don't have any pay. And now, apparently, according to what we've found out yesterday, Trump, even though he has the money, and Russell Vought won't give these employees back pay. They don't give a shit about us. So we should be bold and blunt with our message that just won an entire diverse cross section in one of the greatest cities in New York, ran on affordability, ran on free buses, ran on healthcare, ran on, inshallah, stabilizing, freezing rent, ran on against the oligarchy. But he said, all right, billionaires exist. If you work with me, I'll work with you. I don't think billionaires should exist, but you're here. Work with me, right? Run boldly. And today, folks, he said something specific when it comes to immigrants. He said something that, yeah, Danielle, you missed the first 15 minutes where Francesca and I were talking about abolish ICE, and I posted something on Blue Sky, which is kind of taken off. I said, the water is warm here, folks. You can say abolish ICE. You can mainstream it. Today in his speech, Zoran Mamdani said, I want you all to know, ICE agents, if you break the law, you will be held accountable in New York City. This is the law. Chicago can do this. LA can do this. California can do this. ICE agents cannot use unlawful force. Cops have the right to actually then hold ICE agents accountable for using unlawful force.
Yep.
You have to be bold. You have to be on the offense. And I want to ask you this question because I saw one of our commenters said this when we were talking. It was during your exquisite rant, your sermon, Danielle, was, and I've been getting this also. Now, we need a big tent. Come on now. We need a big tent. And this is my response, and I want to hear from all of you. Vote blue no matter who. We all heard that, right? Vote blue no matter who. And what do progressives do? I want to bring receipts. When it came to Joe Biden making a fatal mistake of saying, I'm gonna run, it was the progressives who had his back and black voters. It was the
Okay, but
progressives.
more specifically, you did watch. You were on Democracy Now! Saying he should stay in the race.
I did say that too. And I
People
said
not
that
forget.
it's because I said black voters and progressive voters are saying that they have to have their back right now, and he's in. Fine. I was also saying he should step down, and if hopefully Kamala Harris. Now Kamala Harris comes in. Who had Kamala Harris's back? Progressive voters and black voters, because they know how to build coalitions. None of this was perfect, folks, right? It was all bad, but I was just trying to go for the greatest good. It was the progressives who supported Biden's ambitious
They want to
what
build back better. They were the
it was
ones fighting for Build Back Better. It was a
it
fucking
was
centrist
progressive.
that tanked it.
It was the centrists who tanked it, right? Y'all with me? And then they say, vote blue no matter who. Zoran Mamdani says, okay, I'm willing to work with you, Schumer. I'm willing to work with you, Jeffries. Vote blue no matter who, except Zoran.
Yep.
Vote blue no matter who, except that Muslim Somalian Democratic Socialist. Vote blue no matter who, except AOC. Vote blue no matter who, fine, we'll take Ilhan Omar, right? So I'm of the perspective right now that the results are clear. I think us three, we see where the wind is blowing. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene also sees where the wind is blowing. You have the mandate. Now you say, Bismillah, we're driving the caravan, and the caravan's moving forward. And you better get on board or else. And I believe that you got to just be bold and on offense, and you keep the door of the caravan open. But if they're going to give us this mealy mouth centrism, we say, nah, that's a losing strategy. I'm going to just stick with my team and this caravan and move forward. Your take on that?
Here's my thing. If your big tent is a fucking circus, I don't want any part of it. And that is what the establishment have shown themselves to be, right? They want to govern over a circus. They want to tell you vote blue no matter who, so long as it's centrist, because progressive ideas don't sell. And the reality is that they don't sell because establishment Democrats have sold out. That's why those ideas don't sell, because they sold out to the corporations. They sold out to big pharma. They sold out to big ag. They sold out to big oil. They sold out to APAC. So they're not interested in pressing forward with progressivism because it doesn't fill their pockets. They're not interested in the people. And so what I say, right, is fuck your big tent. I don't want to be in a corner of a big tent. I want to be in the motherfucking center. And until the Democratic establishment decides that they don't want to govern over a circus, miss me with it. I am more than happy to be over with the working families and the Democratic and the Democratic socialists and the fucking independents and all of those, because I am no longer going to be satiated on crumbs, and nor should the rest of us, because that is exactly what the Democratic establishment has been giving out. They have been feeding us crumbs and telling us that it is a meal. They have been feeding us, right? The giving us a little scoop of cream off the top and telling us that we should be satisfied with it. And I'm telling you that when you see food lines wrapped around, right? When you see people out in the cold, when you see people that can't afford their fucking rent and they can't afford their Medicare at the same time, miss me with it. I do not believe in the status quo anymore. Break the shit wide open. And that is what Zoran
Literally.
did. He broke open the lie that tells us that we can't push too hard, the lie that tells us that we can't dream too big, the lie that tells us that we can't have free shit with our fucking tax dollars because we're too busy paying off everybody else.
Paying for a genocide abroad.
For a genocide abroad, for dirty fucking food, for dirty fucking air. They're the ones that have been selling us out. And I'm telling you, the hoods came off of MAGA, but the mask fell off of the Democratic establishment. And folks are seeing people for who they are. Don't show up now and want to hug on Mamdani, but don't want to work for passing any of his policies because you still want to be able to do your insider trading, because you still want to be able to fill up your packs. No, done.
Yeah,
Francesca,
I mean, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I think a lot of this, first of all, amen a million times. And I think the fight is long, though. I don't think they have learned their lesson. We know they won't learn their lesson. There's going to have to be a lot more Zoran victories. They will actively, work with Republicans as they did in the endorsement game around Cuomo on some trash ass candidate. They will work to rule over their pile of ashes for as long as they can. And so this is one pillar in the fight. And I think we have a lot more battles to go. I was listening to Sam and Emma on the Majority Report say something I think really important. Sam saying, look, you can't have a big tent without a tent pole. Democrats have no fucking pole. What do you stand for? Nobody knows anymore. And as extreme wealth hoarding and inequality has gotten so acute, it's even more on display as we know that super PACs and money in politics have destroyed our democracy. They cannot with a straight face say, yes, I take corporate super PAC money and it doesn't affect my politics at all. Bitch, we know you're lying. We know that's not true. You're not going to win over anybody. Oh, but they're job creators. No, they're not. We all know that because people are being squeezed by those so-called job creators because they're flying around on their jets. What is it? Something like some insane amount of the economy is only bolstered by the top
10%.
10%? Like 80% of the economy is relying on the fucking top 10%? Like, what kind of, feudalistic world or feudalistic country do we live in? And so I totally agree. I think the big last thing I have to say is, look, Gavin Newsom is fluffing his feathers. He's very happy about Prop 50. So am I as a Californian. I'm very happy about Prop 50. It's important. I feel for the Republicans in California, but don't worry, you'll be well represented. Life might even get better for you because of it, and you might become a Democrat one day. But Gavin Newsom's still out there thinking he's next in line, thinking those centrist, policies with enough anti-Trumpism will allow him to be the nominee. And so To me, the other thing that Zoran proves is that you need organizing. You need people. You need all of us to take an hour out of our week. I know everyone's fucking squeezed, everyone's tired, everyone's got shit to do. But like, this is how we win, because otherwise we're going to get into some, hold your nose and vote type situation come 2028, when we actually could have someone who actually lays out a vision, when we could actually dream way, way bigger. But we've got to do the work.
I know, Francesca, I kept you way longer, but before you go, I did want to
Yes.
ask you this, and you segued into something that I wanted to bring up. The reason why I'm in my hometown in the Bay Area and stuck in an SFO airport lounge is because last night I was at a Commonwealth Club talk where it was me and Gil Duran, editor of the Excellent Nerd Right.
Yeah.
We were it was great, a sold out crowd, and it was awesome because we went on stage and Mamdani had won, so it was just a great vibe of people who were just really fed up, and a lot of the folks that came out were like elderly white men and women who I was blunt as F, as you all can imagine, and they were like, "Run for office, we like you, brown man," and the talk was about how to fight fascism. But you talk
Oh
about
yeah, every
Gavin.
South Asian American now, every dude who looks like Mamdani be like, "Are you our Mamdani?" So watch out, Waj. They're
But
gonna be like, "Are
I
you our
did I did
Mamdani?"
tell them, I said, at my age now at 45, I have one demographic that likes me. I don't know why. It's women above the age of 60. Not 40s, not 30s, not 20s. Women above the age of 60 look at me and goes, "He's handsome." And then I tell my wife, Sarah, she has good taste, exquisite taste. But that was the crowd. It was a great vibe. But we talked about Gavin Newsom because we were waiting for the Prop 50 results. We knew it was going to pass. I predicted 60-40, 65-35, right? But speaking about Gavin Newsom, I did a post earlier, folks, today, and I said this yesterday. I said the reason why I don't think Gavin Newsom at this current moment can win it nationally 2 years from now is because things are going to get a lot worse, like you all mentioned. Income inequality is going to increase. The recession is going to happen. It's already happening. Folks, we're in it. It's going to get worse. And there's 3 litmus tests for Democratic leaders, in my opinion. Number one, do you support Israel and its genocide? So far, Gavin Newsom apparently does. When he was talking to Van Lathan, the good Van, on your show, Francesca, when
That's
we had
right.
Van on, he told Van, "Interesting that you asked that. Interesting. That's very interesting. Interesting. I'm not making it up." Him, Pete Buttigieg, Cory Booker, the smoothest talkers of the DNC, got mealy mouthed when it came to being directly asked about AIPAC and Israel. That's number one. Number two, the broligarchy. I'm here in the Silicon Valley right now in the Bay Area. They are tethered to the broligarchy. Are you against the broligarchy? Are you against corporate money? And so far, they're not. They're still with it. Number three, are you willing and able on the drop of a dime to throw the woke under the bus? And Gavin Newsom said, "Yes, I am." He invited Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and threw the LGBTQ folks under the bus, right? These are 3 litmus tests, I think, for Democratic leaders moving forward. Now, with that being said, very interesting. If you look at Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, they represent a growing shift in MAGA. They're still extreme, still hateful, but they realize these economic policies are terrible. And I want to read what Thomas Massey said. He said, "To avoid a repeat of last night's shellacking in the 2026 midterms, Republicans should quit covering for pedophiles, release the Epstein files. 2, put America before Israel. 3, put farmers before corporations. 4, quit funding wars abroad. 5, reduce spending to control inflation. 6, quit attacking independent voices." I don't think the establishment or Democrats are realizing that this is a threat emerging. Your take, Danielle and Francesca, on all of that.
I mean, one, I want to shout out AOC, who wanted to avail people of this idea that Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she appeared on The View, is a whole different person. Because
Thank
I
you.
have been saying that a broken clock can be right twice a day, but don't fall for the rope-a-dope. The only reason why she ain't drinking MAGA's milkshake right now is because Donald Trump threw her under the bus when she wanted to run for the Senate, right? And when she was standing on the tarmac waiting for Donald Trump, she looked like a fool because he got off the plane and walked right past her last year during the campaign. So she realized that she was disposable, right? right? That's why she is changing her tune right now. So folks need to be clear on that. Tom Massey sounds like a centrist Democrat to me. Right?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
that
Totally.
is exactly what all of those 6 points sounded like. He sounded like a centrist Democrat to me, because all of the things that Donald Trump said that he was going to do to put America first, he has done absolutely none of it. And they all realize it. He said, "Oh, I'm going to get rid of the immigrants, and oh, there'll be all these jobs." Oh, no, you got rid of the immigrants and now my avocado is fucking $25, right? Like, "Oh, you got rid of all of this and now you have these tariffs are killing us in the grocery stores, are killing us in life, and you have these food banks." And so, I think at the end of the day, I think that your litmus test for Democrats is absolutely right. And that is what people are going to be judging on. I learned last night, years in communications as a communication professional, that politicians do have the ability to say yes or no to questions. Because when Zohar Mamdani is asked, would you take money from AIPAC? The answer is no. Are Palestinian people deserving of self-determination? Yes. Unequivocal. Right? Like, imagine that. The question isn't interesting. Oh, I don't have to get back to you because I need to check with my fucking focus group. Like, I can actually respond yes or no to things that aren't up for debate. Right? And so I think that Gavin Newsom needs to slow his roll, because I won't forget who he brought on his show. I won't forget him throwing trans people under the bus, and neither should anybody else. Nor should we accept that in order to not have Donald Trump, that we need to accept Donald Trump light, somebody that is willing to do anything and everything in order to stay in power. Cuomo showed us that doesn't work. Newsom ain't no better. So, we deserve a candidate with integrity. We deserve real democracy. And I have not seen that as of yet from anyone in the old batch of Dems.
Yep.
Right? I have not seen that. I've seen a willingness to leave people behind so that you can remain in power. And so if Democrats are paying attention, which I doubt that they are, which is why people are fleeing the party, you will look to Tom Massey and you'll say, that sounds like our policies, which means that we should be going further to the right, not further to the left, not further to the right.
I mean, the one thing that it doesn't sound like Democratic policies to me, Democrats will not say we need to put, the United States above Israel. Democrats often will not say we need to end foreign wars. I mean, I think this is what screwed Biden and Kamala Harris.
Nope.
I think it's the Democrats that can finally fucking say, back to the Obama years, the reason Obama won over Clinton was around the Iraq War. For the love of God, people wanted an end to the war on terror. Did he do it? No, he expanded the war in Afghanistan. Yes, he ended the war in Iraq. But I'm just laying that out there, that when Thomas Massey and Marjorie Greene, out of self-interest, outflank Democrats on these critical issues, Democrats should be fucking worried, because they stop listening. They've never listened to their base when it comes to war, when it comes to military spending. They never listened to their base on that. And now suddenly, or Israel, and now suddenly the actual anti-Semites are coming around and going, hey, we should stop giving all of our money to Israel. And so yes, of course we're here because there's no leadership. There's no leadership on this issue. And so that's what really bothers me, is that Democrats have it right in front of them. It's economic populism. It's, moving our money from war and militarism into the people, into the goods that are around us. It is making a case that government has a role to play, and it's being clear. Because the last thing I'll say about your Buttigieg and your Newsoms and your Bookers is that this slick little, I'm going to be all things to all people, nobody respects that. And we know you're doing it to just be cool with your corporate donors. So say what you mean. Say it very clearly, and people will follow you. And yes, we build coalitions. Hey, there's room in the tent for centrists. If you feel weird about public safety units versus the police, that's okay. You're still welcome here, Once you see that you probably like the police because they're never in your fucking community, then maybe, you'll understand. But so I'm just like, we still have these battles. And I wish, and I think, Danielle, you missed it, but the last thing I'll also say is like, the media has such a role to play, and we are in probably a shittier place with the media than we are with the Democratic Party.
Oh yeah.
We're in a worse place because you're not hearing voices like ours. You're not hearing voices like, have a DSA member on a panel, for the love of God. If they helped him get elected, have him on. And so long as our voices are prevented, you're still going to have the Ezra Kleins and the Axelrods and the Van Joneses taking up so much air, and making us think so small. And last. Danielle, you said it, but that's what Zoran said too. We're tired of big money and small ideas. We're tired of being condescended to by these Democratic politicians who speak to us like we're children. We're tired of settling and being told what we can't do, and how we have to be happy for crumbs. That is a message we have to keep fucking call them out every time they're like, well, I would do Medicare for all, but say, you know what I hear? I hear crumbs. That sounds like crumbs to me. So that's what we have to keep on calling out.
And it's not even crumbs, folks. Marie Antoinette allegedly said, let them eat cake. They won't even let us eat cake. People are starving. That's why they're lining up at food banks. My quick take on this, before I let you all go, is speaking about corporate media. I just did a post because right before I was talking to you ladies, I was talking to BBC World. They asked me about Mamdani's win. First time I've talked to BBC in a while. I'm not making this up. I did a mild criticism of the Bush administration, and then the host quickly interjected, "Well, Bush did some Americans think Bush did some good things," and then Mike, I swear to God, and then I talked about Donald Trump, and I said, you know, you live in America long enough that you see a majority of Americans vote for a man who incited a violent insurrectionist who's a criminal who raped a woman, and then he quickly interjected and said, well, a lot of people like Trump, and you know that's just your opinion. And I said everything I just said was facts. So the BBC now has completely bent the knee, and corporate media has been completely captured by the bro-oligarchy, the pro-Israel fanatics, and Trumpers, folks, just like we predicted, Danielle and I did on the democracy issue. So it's up to us. It's up to all of us pushing through Substack, through YouTube, through our independent channels, because corporate media is gone, number one. Number two, when it comes to Thomas Massey, I think Democratic establishment should really pay attention to what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing, and the fact that corporate media is literally laundering Marjorie Taylor Greene on The View. She's still the same white trash, still the same anti-Semite, still the same white nationalist, but she sees where the winds are blowing. As Francesca said, those points, look at the points that Massey and Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene are touching upon. She blames Mike Johnson for the shutdown. She says, my constituents can't afford food. They don't have health care. Economic populism. What's the other issue? Israel. Why are we supporting Israel in a genocide? They realize that the majority of young people across the world are radicalized because they're a Gaza generation. America first. Stop sending money to Israel. And now, what they're aggressively doing is release the Epstein files because they see that over 75% of Americans want the Epstein files released. My fear is if you take this for granted, and I do never take Marjorie Taylor Greene for granted, go look at my receipts. As soon as she was elected 4 years ago in the Daily Beast, I said she is the present and future of the GOP. She has the pulse of the GOP. Her, Tucker, Candace Owens, unfortunately, right? They are now getting more liberal on these issues than the Democratic establishment. And my fear, Francesca and Danielle, is this: the Democratic leadership doesn't meet them, right? And specifically on these talking points, come another election, you never know, folks. They can win over just enough people on those issues, plus the culture war and identity politics and the bullshit that they do and the manufactured outrage and the disinformation. So wide open lane, Democrats. You have a wide open lane. And I will say this, how people can change. And I said this last night. My parents were in the audience, and I'll end with it and give you, ladies, the final word. Was my parents, right? My father came to this country in 1966, landed at UC Berkeley with his older brother as teenagers, thanks to the Immigration and Nationality Act that was passed, thanks to the Civil Rights Movement that removed the 40-year restriction that were placed on immigrants. No Asians could come here, folks. It was huge. And Stephen Miller says that was the worst thing that happened to America was the Immigration and Nationality Act, because a whole bunch of brown and black folks came, my parents and Danielle's parents included. My father and my mom, they came. There were a lot of typical Asian American immigrants. They voted Republican because, oh, family values, God, good for business. But they were like Republican light in the 90s. Then they're like, they're racist and they lied. So then they switched to Democrats, never looked back. My mother, both seniors now, my mother said the following, and I'll translate from Urdu. She goes, "ये AOC में उसमें जान है, लड़ती है. AOC has life. At least she fights. ये मरे हुए बुड्ढे गोरे कुछ नहीं करते. These old decaying white men are useless and flaccid. They do nothing." And she goes, जिसमें जान है, जो 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 लड़ते हैं, इनको ऊपर करना है. Who has a fight and who has a John and a passion, we should raise them up. So now my immigrant parents are these hardcore progressives, pro Mamdani, pro AOC, anti-establishment. My father, man, if I can't even quote what my dad said about the oligarchy. I can't. I literally begged my dad, said, please don't say this in public. And
It's
so,
okay. He probably didn't say anything worse than what they publicly say about the unhoused
Right.
population
oh yeah,
Exactly.
or
there
people
you
of color.
yeah. I won't say it, but yeah, that's where my dad was with the oligarchy. And so you can win over people. You have to stand for something. You have to stand for something. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What are you willing to fight for? Who are you willing to sacrifice for? Show me, and then I'll support you. Danielle and Francesca, final words to you.
Yeah, I just, I'm waiting to be invited over for family dinner because this shit sounds live and I love it.
And
So
my mom cooks really well,
I
really
will,
well.
I'll be on a train anytime I get the invite.
And they love
But
Danielle and Francesca, by the way.
and but I want to say something to Francesca's point about mainstream corporate media. I mean, this is the reason why, like, I decided not to really go on anymore because I'm not interested in going on to use talking points and to not really say anything. It's a waste of time. Right. And this is why people are here. This is why nearly 2,000 people are watching right now
Oh,
because
great,
they are
2000.
because they are starving for truth and facts and people with passion and integrity that are not interested in performing, but are interested in purpose. Right. And so, like, that's why we're here doing this kind of work. And so I encourage the people that are watching to support each and every single one of our Substacks, to support independent media, to do that work because it's important. And to the radicalization of your parents, all of us, if standing up for people's rights to eat, to be housed, to have medicine, to thrive is radical, then fucking call me a radical. Then I'm a revolutionary. Do you know what I'm saying? And I will wear that like a badge of honor. Because if staying in the center means that I'm okay with some people being left out in the cold and some people not being able to eat while I have a full banquet on my table, then that's not the party for me. Right? That's not the society that I want to live in. And I think that all of us, we need to stop, voting against what it is that we want and start voting for the people that we
Yes.
want and voting for the society that we want, voting for the culture that we want and not accepting anything less because
And to
that's what
dream,
we deserve.
big. Francesca.
No, I'm all tapped out, dude. I'm just want to underscore what Danielle said and say that, everyone make a plan to get to work in your way. Make a plan locally where you are. Try not to feel alone. Things are still really dark. Find your people and, find your local races that you can get excited about, really excited about. Not just, some run of the mill candidate, because they're there. And if there is no one, then you run. And so
Good point.
that's just my homework. It's for myself too,
Yeah.
myself and for everybody to carve out that time to really invest and into growing more and more Zoran Mamdanis.
And yesterday, last night, I literally dragged Alice and Gil out of bed, and I said only 10 minutes, and we spoke for 45 minutes. And today, Francesca's like, "I so tired." Okay,
No, I
and I
have
said,
to work. I gotta write
and,
a whole thing.
And I have to catch a flight literally, but in 15 minutes turned to an hour, but there's 2,000 people watching. Thank you all for watching. Let me shamelessly promote Danielle first. Danielle Moodie hosts 17 shows. Danielle Moodie has her own YouTube channel. Please get her to 40,000 subscribers. She should have 400,000 subscribers. And we also co-host a fantastic Democracy-ish show. We'll be back Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And Danielle also has the Damn Digest, which is on Substack. And like me, she's a terrible capitalist. Everything is for free. So please, if you have a few dollars, become a paid subscriber to the Damn Digest. She's completely independent. Francesca also hosts about 93 shows, and she hosts a fantastic Habituation Room on YouTube. It's a great show, which premieres when, Francesca?
Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Go check out a video we did really important about how the FBI is cracking down on our movements and how, anyone who's actually getting to work defending communities that are in the crosshairs of the Trump administration. Ramzi Qasim, who works with CUNY Clear, who's defended Mahmoud Khalil and Rumeysa Ozturk. He joined me to talk about what it means when you criminalize. Yeah, like when you criminalize Antifa and, anyone who's doing racial justice organizing, BLM activists have been targeted. So that's a great discussion. And everyone check that out, youtube.com/FrannyFio or on my Substack, frannyfio.substack.com.
And also support her. She's also independent with Patreon and also as a YouTube super chatter. And also she has a Substack, which she should use more. But this conversation will be on her Substack. So subscribe to her Substack. This is the Left Hook, folks. I've kept everything free. I'm a terrible capitalist, but I think people should be informed. And I also know people are struggling right now. So give what you can. If you have some money, give it to Danielle and Francesca. And if you have a few left over, become a paid subscriber. As you all know, I have 800 children and now 3 cats. And maybe I could feed 1 cat and half a child. But if not, inshallah, I'll get by.
I have one more thing to say. This is awful. I feel like the phrase socialism or barbarism is clearer than ever. Let us remember that we are staring down barbarism. We're staring down thugs ethnically cleansing communities. We're staring down corruption. We are staring down just stochastic terrorism.
Yes.
The socialism shouldn't be scary. As Danielle said, if it's feeding people, clothing them, giving them education, giving them health care, then fucking, of course I'm a socialist. I've been a socialist, but maybe you are too. All right, everybody subscribe to Left Hook, support Watch.
And Mamdani led with Eugene Debs' quote. And a lot of young people are like, that's a dope quote. Who's Eugene Debs? And Europeans are like, yeah, democratic socialists. So what? That's what we are. Why are you all so scared about this? What was once terrifying no longer becomes terrifying if you dream it and live it. Marriage equality was terrifying. And then gay people got married and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Muslims existing in public was terrifying until you got Keith Ellison. And you're like, oh, an elected official. He's good. Okay. And now you have Mamdani. Things are scary because there's a failure of imagination. So I want you to imagine it. I want you to dream it. And then you have to see it lived out. Faith isn't enough. Faith needs to be something tangible in action. And that's what we saw last night, folks. So we saw faith become a reality. Hope was transformed into action, boots on the ground, canvassing, people coming out in record numbers and voting for a Mamdani. And the reason why it's so important, I'll end on this, as a brown-skinned man, as a son of immigrants, as a Muslim, we were told to be in the shadows. 24 years of just incessant Islamophobia. And New York City, the city that suffered the worst terrorist attack in American history, that same city, 24 years later, turned around and said, we're going to reject the Islamophobia, and we're going to elect this immigrant, brown-skinned Muslim to lead one of the greatest cities on earth. And think about the young kids watching who are told, you just be a sidekick. You just be a vice president. Don't be a president. You be Haji Baba. You hide your Musliminess. You just be happy with the appetizers and the cheeses. What Mamdani's victory showed you was like, oh no, you be the president. You be the mayor. You come for the cheese, the crackers, the hummus, the biryani. You go for everything. And you know what? There'll be a multicultural coalition. If you're a good person with good values and a good platform, they'll support you and they'll eat too. That's my little rant. Thank you all for coming. This will be out later for the 2,100 people who joined us on my Substack, Danielle's Substack, and Francesca's Substack, inshallah, in an hour. Be kind, be decent, and don't be fascist. Thank you all.
Thank you.